It begins with a boy, not a prince, not a soldier, not yet a name whispered through the halls of history. Just a boy, small and wide-eyed, standing at the edge of a world that expected him to obey and to vanish quietly into its shadows. But what happens when a child is born into chaos and the world refuses to wait for him to grow? What happens when the weight of leadership finds him before he even understands it? This is the story of a boy who became a king, not of castles, crowns, or armies, but of a people's imagination, their hope, their belief. He ruled without a throne, without banners, without formal power. And yet, in a place scarred by war, famine, and displacement, he shaped history in ways most adults could never imagine. He was born in a village that the maps seemed to have forgotten. Mud brick houses, narrow dirt paths, and skies so wide they swallowed the sun. His parents were ordinary, hardworking, struggling to hold on to what little stability life had given them. But from the very beginning, the boy exhibited something extraordinary. A vision, a fearlessness, a way of seeing the world that made others stop and listen. By the age of 8, he was already mediating disputes among villagers twice his age. By 10, he had negotiated water access between neighboring towns, walking miles under the scorching sun, carrying messages with the seriousness of a seasoned diplomat. Experts who have studied such extraordinary childhoods, anthropologists, historians, and psychologists, say that what makes him remarkable isn't just precocious intelligence. It's empathy. It's the ability to make people feel seen, to speak in ways that cut through fear and suspicion, to inspire trust when most adults would falter. And yet, the world did not hand him power on a silver platter. There were elders who laughed at his age, rivals who tried to silence him, and a society that had never before witnessed leadership without a title. But the boy, undeterred, found another kind of throne. He understood that leadership is not about who sits at the head of a table. It's about who moves the hearts of those around them. He listened to the elders, but he also listened to children, the women who carried the heaviest burdens, the farmers whose voices were often drowned out in council chambers. Slowly, quietly, he became indispensable. By 13, his influence stretched beyond his village. He organized trade routes that others had abandoned, negotiated peace between warring factions, and created schools where none existed. He had no crown, no scepter, no palace. But in every home, every market, every whispered conversation, his name carried weight. And then came the moment that would define him. A neighboring town faced a deadly famine. Adults argued over solutions. Aid was delayed. People were dying. The boy, still only 14, stood before the crowd, his voice steady, his words deliberate, and proposed a plan that combined local ingenuity with outside assistance. The adults hesitated. They listened. They acted. And the famine, while not erased, was mitigated. Lives were saved. Historians today say that what he achieved in those years could have taken seasoned leaders decades to accomplish. He taught communities how to believe in themselves again, how to organize, to collaborate, to survive. In a world obsessed with titles, he showed that leadership is measured not by power, but by impact. As he grew older, he refused official positions, declined invitations to governments that sought to legitimize him, insisting that true authority comes from service, not from recognition. And in doing so, he became immortal, not in history books filled with names and dates, but in the stories told around fires, in whispers among generations, in the quiet pride of a people who had known hope when it seemed impossible. The boy who became a king without a throne leaves us with a question. What does it mean to lead? Is it the crown, the ceremonies, the decree of others? Or is it the courage to act when the world doubts you, the patience to listen, the humility to serve? In a time when so many leaders fail to see the faces behind their power, he reminds us that sometimes the most extraordinary rulers wear no crown at all, and yet their kingdom can be greater than any empire. And perhaps, in the end, the greatest throne is not built of stone or gold, but of hearts awakened, lives transformed, and a world quietly, irrevocably